Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th edition of TWitWoW Request Live. We had a very generous donation for us to be able to review this show. This is specifically Ring of Honor Final Battle 2016, and we would like to thank Javaris Carter. Shows up in chat a lot. We're hoping he'll be able to be here live to hear us review the show that he requested. And we also like to talk with him on Twitter a lot. Guys, if you enjoy this format, if you like the idea of being able to control the content that we review and being able to tell us what to review or live react to, check out our Patreon. All you got to do is type in patreon.com/TwitWoW in your little URL bar at the top of your web browser and hit enter, and it'll take you to our Patreon page, and you'll be able to see our pricing. And Javaris is in chat, so welcome, Javaris. We're glad you're here. And yeah, if you want us to review a show for you or live react to a show that we haven't, go ahead, donate money. The pricing is set up on the Patreon. It's $7 per content hour for a review, $10 per content hour for live reactions, or if you want both, rather than just combining those two numbers together and saying 17, we give you a little bit of a reduction and we say 15 an hour. So John, Ring of Honor Final Battle 2016, what did you think of this show, brother?
Brother, surprisingly, because I know our coverage of ROH, we cover, a few shows kind of distance from each other. We don't really have our finger intensely on the pulse like with Lucha Underground, or dare I say even New Japan, which I know we're going to be affording even more coverage this year. But that said, I never really felt lost in the shuffle with this show, and actually I had a great time with this show. Really, there was only one match that I was kind of mad on, and I wouldn't even fault that with the workers so much as kind of the atmosphere that was set up for the match. But other than that, yeah, I thought this was a really outstanding outing for ROH. Actually made me invested in some of their performers going forward in this calendar year, of 2017 to see where they go, if they can ascend to maybe the upper card, or if they can win some championships or get in some notable storylines. This show definitely instilled in me a greater desire to invest, to keep my finger on the pulse, even if it's more in a TNA way where I just read recaps. But yeah, I mean, this is a good outing for ROH. I thoroughly enjoyed this show.
All right, that's cool. So is it safe to say that you liked 7 of the 8 matches on this show? You're at 87.5% there.
Yes, that's definitely correct.
Okay, so you would probably give the show a B+, right?
Yeah, B+, even an A-, really. I thought it was an outstanding outing for them.
Nice. So for me, I actually quite enjoyed 4 of the matches on this show as opposed to your 7. But there were 4 other matches on the show that I just couldn't even force myself to get into. So we're going to be going at this from 2 very different perspectives, because you would give this show a passing grade with flying colors. I would give this show a pretty mediocre grade. And I know, like, when someone thinks like, oh, 5 out of 10, or in this case 4 out of 8, either way 50%, that's a fail. But in my grading scale, a fail would be like a 1 out of 10.
Right.
I kind of off the bottom half of the 100% grading scale. So a 50% on the 100% grading scale for me would be like a 0 or a 1 out of 10. So really what I'm saying is I would give this show a C.
Yeah, I mean, that's totally understandable, dude. I look forward to going through this card match by match with you and seeing where we kind of diverge and where we can come together. Because I thought the stuff that was really good on this show was really good. And there was even stuff like the one match I wasn't even really feeling. I wouldn't even call that atrocious. It's just relative to the rest of the card. I just felt like it didn't really have enough to stand out on its own merits or maintain that momentum. So yeah, I'm excited to go over the show with you for sure.
All right, awesome. Well, hey man, now that we're kind of getting into it, let's get into the first match. Before we even get into the first match, what opened this show wasn't a match. It was story time with Adam Cole.
What did you think of this, bro?
You know what? I like the storytelling device. I like the idea, but to me, the execution was a little bit lackluster. I thought that Cole's delivery was kind of stiff until like he'd really like turned up the fire and started acting like he was legitimately like pissed and kind of like, oh, Kyle O'Reilly, just the thought of him was really getting to him. That I loved, but up until that point, I did feel like the delivery was on the stiff side.
Man, we are not wasting any time. This is going to be one of our more interesting reviews in recent memory because I loved everything about this. Like, to me, segments like
I
this.
love the idea. I love the idea of having your heel champion literally sit on a throne and tell the story of him and the guy he's facing. And because they do have a rich history together, that's a great storytelling device. My only problem with this was I felt like Adam Cole was not natural. It felt forced with him until he started to fire up and kind of really like get into it and get angry with Kyle O'Reilly and start kind of raising his voice and really getting into it. That was great. But prior to that, when he was kind of keeping that calm, cool, like level voice, I wasn't into that.
See, now that's cool, and I can understand where you're coming from there. Me, I took the exact opposite view. I even have in my notes, the first line I have in here, that is how you hype up a main event, first of all. I just love that they use that to kind of set the tone for later. And O'Reilly's promo later, which we'll get into when we actually reach that point in the show, I thought that was also executed very well. And I even put here, quote, Adam Cole went from classy as fuck with the wine glass and the leather chair and, you know, all the alliteration about, like, being a king and these riches and everything, to very angry and belligerent about O'Reilly pursuing him. And then, you know, his final line about O'Reilly not fighting a king but a god, I thought that was gold. To me, why I like the delivery prior to the anger, because I like the anger too, but I felt like the prior delivery worked because Cole, he does love himself very much. He is a very arrogant, confident character. So to me, when he's speaking that way, it's almost like, oh, I'm celebrating myself, but here comes this guy that doesn't even belong in the same league as me, ruining my party. And like, that's a source of anger because his ego is bruised. So really, I thought the delivery on the whole was great. It's one of the reasons why Cole really is one of my favorites, even if he's on like the edge, because you know there have been so many great wrestlers between last year going into this year that I've constantly reassessed my list. But Cole will always have a special place in my heart, and it's because of segments like this. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Alrighty, so do we want to kind of move on to the next thing, or do we have anything else left to say about the Cole segment?
We can move on to the next thing, brother. Not a problem.
Up next was our first match of the night, and I know you and I both thoroughly enjoyed this match. The Rebellion, which is Caprice Coleman, Kenny King, and Rhett Titus, versus Donovan Dijak and the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, I, for one, was not aware that Dijak had turned babyface, but he is a great babyface.
I'm right there with you. I was unaware of the turn, but man, is it already paying dividends. But before I go deep, like into my notes and my review, what did you think of this match?
I thought this match was great. This was one of the 4 matches that I thoroughly enjoyed on this show. And to me, when you get some talents out there like Dijak, like Kenny King, and you put them in a sort of a situation like this where it can get chaotic, it can get crazy, and you toss in the dynamism that is the Motor City Machine Guns, success, and the recipe turned out great.
Yeah, I mean, again, referring to my notes, which I'll be doing a lot for this show because, you know, it's very rare that I take notes to begin with. I thought this was the perfect kind of opener that you want to start a show with because I feel like, especially with the performers, you're going to get a lot of spots. You're going to get a lot of energy. You're going to get this crowd in the kind of mood you want to get them in. And the 2 people I want to highlight in particular on each team, when it comes to the Rebellion side, I actually want to highlight Caprice Coleman. Don't get me wrong. Kenny King and Rhett Titus are phenomenal, particularly Kenny King. But why I like Caprice Coleman, he brought the personality in this match. I about died when he pointed at Donovan Dijak and he's like, "You jab, turkey." Like, I was just like, yes, okay, we're doing it. This is a thing. So yeah, Caprice Coleman, I thought, brought a lot of personality and, you know, just imagination in this match. So I really appreciated that. Donovan Dijak on the machine gun side. And, you know, I was a Motor City Machine Guns mark when I was still like rapidly watching TNA. And not only did I have my finger on the pulse, like I love the product. Motor City Machine Guns were my favorite team before Beer Money came along. But I mean, Donovan Dijak to me outshone them here. He is brilliant. And if he's going to be a long-term babyface, to me, I think he is going to be the closest answer ROH can have to Brian Cage on Lucha Underground, though I still, would say that Cage wins out there. Donovan Dijak is one hell of an athlete. The things that he can do at his size blow my damn mind, a lot like Cage. I don't really know if he'll have the charisma to go with it. I really haven't heard him talk extensively, but if he can have the mic chops to back that shit up, I mean, I know by ROH time it'll probably take 5 years, but you're really looking at a future world champion in my mind. He is brilliant.
Yeah, man. I didn't even notice Caprice Coleman saying stuff like that. I didn't catch any of what you were just talking about in the match, but I definitely admittedly he was probably the person that I noticed the least. He and Rhett Titus to me were like the least people in this match, and it's not because they're bad, it's just because they didn't do anything to impress me in this match. So when I talk about the guys that impressed me in this match, Kenny King immediately springs to mind. To me, like, I feel like Kenny King is like a human embodiment of bad decisions, because it was a horrible decision for WWE to let him go after he tried out for Tough Enough. And then it was an even worse decision for him to leave ROH for TNA on a handshake deal with ROH. Like, he was on a handshake deal with ROH. They had like an agreement, and he like broke that agreement to go to TNA. And then he comes back to ROH, and they can't trust him. They've already experienced, like, he's already burned them before, so they're not going to give him anything. I just wish this dude's career could have turned out better. And the reason that I'm speaking in hindsight, 45 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, when you get to that point, you really got to make the big moves or just kind of be static and not go anywhere at all. And that's a shame because, again, I don't want to overlook Kenny King. Like on your side where you said you really didn't take notice of Coleman or Titus, like, don't think that I'm giving a cold shoulder to King. Like, I thought he was great too. It's just Caprice Coleman to me brought the personality, and he got laughs out of me, which I thought brought a unique dimension to this match that you knew was going to be predicated on spots and energy to begin with. But yeah, King is amazing, and like you, knowing all that, I wish his career would have turned out better, because I mean, I look at a talent like that, and I'm like, if you could turn back the clock a little, get him in touch with Lucha Underground or even New Japan, and just let him go, like, that would be just incredible to me. So yeah. Really a shame.
And well, if you think about everything WWE looks for in top superstars, like, he's 6 feet tall, so he's got the height, check. Great look, and he's chiseled, check. Charisma out the ass, check. Great in the ring, check. Freakish athleticism, check. He checks every box you want in a top star in the WWE. And like, I feel like I've always said this about him, and I feel like it really, every time I see him, it just reaffirms that when I say it, it's true. Kenny King is Shelton Benjamin with charisma.
Yeah.
And 7 years younger too.
Definitely. And that's really the shame. But like I said, like, he's not at an age where I think all the doors have closed him, but he is at that age, in my opinion, where you got to start making the big plays for your life, and making the big decisions and trying to make those big moves. Otherwise, where you are now is where you're just going to be for the remainder of your career, in my opinion. Now, I could be very wrong about that.
I completely agree with you, John.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see.
And then you look at do you know how young Donovan Dijak is?
Is he like in his late 20s, I would guess? Because he doesn't look 30 to me yet, but I could be wrong.
29, yeah.
He's 29, you said?
Yeah, 29 years old, and he's 6'7". And
Crazy.
He can do a friggin' cannonball off of the springboard.
I know. Dude, I'm telling you, if he has the promo chops to match that in-ring work, it kind of is.
Who cares about promo chops? Jesus, put him with a manager. Why do you need to cut a promo when you look like he does, can move like he does, and has the size that he has?
I just don't know what ROH is thinking, because let's remember, he used to be in the House of Truth with a guy that already could really talk, in my mind, with Truth Martini, and others. Maybe they want him to be more independent. I don't know. But I mean, regardless, like, I do see a bright future for him. If I'm tentative about anything, it's just with ROH's history of kind of pushing people and that their love of the slow burn, and by slow burn I mean agonizingly slow burn. So for Dijak to achieve any success might take a good while, but man, you see matches like this and you're like, I want it to happen now. Like, so great stuff from
then
him.
I feel like Dijak really is kind of the perfect example when we say ROH is always behind the 8 ball. Donovan Dijak is a big reason, and one of the big reasons why we say that so much, because this dude is a star in the making, and it feels like ROH is just like, oh yeah, he's all right. Let's just have him work undercard matches.
Yeah, really is a shame, brother. I agree with you. But the Rebellion actually do win this match. I actually thought this was a good win because, as I say in my notes, if they are going to build a 6-man division, they do have the champions kind of crowned tonight. We'll get to that match a little later in the show. You will want strong heel teams, or at least heel teams with an air of credibility. So I thought the Rebellion going over here was smart. But I hope this incarnation of the Guns, including Donovan Dijak, doesn't fade out so quickly, because I really like these guys as a team and I want them to stick around for the long term until Donovan Dijak sees some promise in singles competition, because he's just a star all around to me. So great opener.
Exactly. Up next, we had our second match of the night, and the first match that I would not consider to be enjoyable personally, on my personal, level, in my opinion. Silas Young versus Jushin Thunder Liger. Now, let me be clear. This match wasn't horrible. There were no horrible botches in this match. The reason that I say it wasn't enjoyable is because it was just straight up boring to me.
Yeah, and I could understand where you're coming from there. To me, I looked at it as two different types of workers working like a well-paced match, given how old Liger is and how long he's been in the business, and Silas Young, well, being Silas Young. I thought the Beer City Bruiser sidekick that he now has, I don't know how long that's been a thing. That was new to me. I found it funny. I found it funny when Silas had temporary control of the boys, so it's nice to see that he's got something of his own going. But I'll tell you what really excited me about this was the fact that Silas won. Because commentary was saying throughout the match, and again, I was oblivious to all of this, which is why I'd like to keep my finger on the pulse more, just reading recaps in the new year, that Silas apparently won this match called the Honor Rumble. He fought for the world title, and he's been having matches with the likes of, Jay Lethal, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, and he says he's been learning like more and more, and then he wins this match. So commentary really mentioning all that about Silas, and then Silas getting this win. I'd like to think that 2017, again, taking into full account that ROH is all about that slow burn, may finally be making that main event ascent, because I've always loved Silas. Silas, if I was to watch ROH more regularly, would easily be one of my favorite heels. I like the way that he works. I like the look that he has, and he is a fucking hilarious promo to me. That whole, Advice with Silas Young series, or whatever it was called, on YouTube, on ROH's YouTube channel, I watched every single one of those, some of them twice, 3 times, because I just think he's gold. So if they're going to really build him to the main event, that's what I'm really excited about, because I think that's really where he belongs. I don't think he'd be out of place there. And yeah, not a bad match. Again, well-paced, given everybody that was involved. And I like that Silas got the win here. Again, much like the opener, I felt like it was the right call. Liger really doesn't need this win with the career that he's had. And if Silas has been doing all this stuff, claimed by commentary, this win, I think, mattered. So I was definitely happy for Silas on that front.
Nice. Yeah. I like I said, I just couldn't get into this match. I mean, being able to see Jushin Thunder Liger do a cannonball from the ring apron to the outside is pretty great, knowing his age and everything. But
Right.
at the same time, if that's the biggest for the match, it doesn't really say much about the rest of the match.
Yeah, and I can totally understand where you're coming from there, dude. But I enjoyed it. Happy for Silas. And maybe that's another reason why I was more forgiving of this match, was that I thought the right guy won and the guy I wanted to win won, because I've always seen a huge upside in Silas. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
It's like we've been so jaded and just crushed and just emotionally destroyed by WWE that even if a match isn't exciting, if the right guy goes over, we're all about it. Like, we're all like, yes, this is the correct decision.
Yeah, and I do feel like ROH made a lot of correct decisions on this show, which we'll get to a bit later. But yeah, anything else you want to say about this match?
I don't think so. Oh, yeah. I mean, the Beer City Bruiser did kind of play into the finish. He distracted Jushin Thunder Liger, which delayed his. I think he was just going for a top rope splash onto Silas. Silas got the knees up and then transitioned it right into his finisher, which he calls Misery, which is just a spinning TKO for the win. So
Yeah.
just wanted to kind of let people know how the match ended, and then we can get into our third match, which is could not get into, which is a shame because I absolutely adore one of the performers here. Colt Cabana versus Dalton Castle, and Colt Cabana is pretty terrible as a heel, if you ask me.
See, and I thought his heel work was fun. I had fun with it. He had this douchey smile.
Supposed to have fun with a heel, though. That's the thing.
Well, you may not be, but look at the era we live in, where AJ Styles gets cheered, Kevin Owens gets cheered, Jericho gets cheered. I mean, you may not supposed to be, but it seems pretty commonplace for most heels. So that's not Colt Cabana's fault. It's just where the chips kind of fell. But I mean, he has this
Colt Cabana's fault, though. Like, Jericho stopped doing the list because it was getting over and it was getting him cheered. Like Kevin Owens,
but I feel like he just put somebody on the
really
list
hard to get booed.
I feel like Chris Jericho just recently put somebody on the list this past Monday, didn't he? Or no? I feel like he recently did the bit.
I barely even watch Raw, but regardless, my point. What I'm trying to say, though, my point isn't that heels shouldn't get cheered. My point is that heels should try to not get cheered, and Cabana did nothing to try and prevent cheers on this show.
All the same, I thought he did good work here. I like the little tease at the beginning where it seemed like, oh, I was going to low blow Dalton Castle again. By the way, great video package preceding this. Story seemed very simple but effective. And commentary related very well. Colt Cabana came back to win championships. He teams with Dalton Castle. Dalton Castle, really feeling the momentum, cashes in their title shot like right away against the Bucks. They lose. Cabana gets frustrated. Also love Dalton's line here, like how seriously he took the team. I dove into the Arctic and I rode an Orca all the way to San Diego. Does that not sound like a champion to you? So yeah, Dalton Castle was great. And speaking of Dalton Castle, I really don't have much to say about Cabana, but Castle, once again, a guy to me that fundamentally understands his character and has in-ring work to me that just almost seems like a juxtaposition with the character, because here he is doing single leg takedowns and deadlift Germans. Like, I always love seeing his Greco-Roman experience from his amateur wrestling years in high school really come to the forefront. And yeah, I thought this was a well-worked match. I was surprised actually that Dalton Castle got the win, but I don't oppose it with, I believe, what he calls the Batarang. And, much like Silas, Bangarang, excuse me. But I do feel like, again, the right person went over. Like, I have nothing against Colt Cabana, but Dalton Castle, to me, because Colt Cabana only recently returned to ROH, whereas Dalton Castle's been there, quite a while. So in this case, I feel like he kind of has seniority in a way. And I do think he has more of an upside because, again, his character is just so good and he clearly has that crowd connection. So surprised by this result, but pleasantly so, because I really expected Cabana to get the win. But Dalton does get his revenge from the low blow. And yeah, I thought it was a solid match.
Yeah. I like that Cabana won by low blow. That helps, but at the same time, like, I felt like his facial expressions were a problem because of how over the top he is, and I think that just comes from being a babyface for so long and kind of having that comedic character. When Dalton Castle grabs you in a waist lock and you have this like comic shocked look on your face and you just hold that for like 3 seconds before Castle even lifts you up, that, I don't know, it's just too much in my opinion. I just wasn't a fan of that.
And I can understand that. Conversely, I also like the heel moment where he brought the boys in the ring to kind of distract Castle to get an advantage. So I felt like he did some good stuff in here as well.
I like that. That was great, but still, that it was up and down, but for the most part, I feel like Colt Cabana as a heel was more bad than good in this match. I love Colt Cabana as a performer, but he is just not a natural heel at all. And it makes sense because he's been a babyface for most of his career, not his entire career. I know he's been a heel very, very early on in his career, but pretty much since he signed to WWE, got let go, and has been working the indies and really hustling, he's been a babyface because it's been all about, selling that merch, making that money, like I said, hustling. But now that he's in ROH and they turned him heel, it's like he doesn't even really remember how to be a heel, or at least not a proper heel, because it's very comic book, very like I couldn't connect with him as a heel.
And hey, Matt, that's understandable. I agree with you in the sense that, you know, when you are a certain alignment for so long, I think there's a kind of learning curve to it. Cause I mean, I've always associated Cabana with comedy as well. Like I remember scenes where like Chuck Taylor would pay him $10 just, hey, can I body slam you? You know, little skits like that. So I think Cabana, when he grows more comfortable, we will see things like, oh, I'm going to pull this guy's friend or whoever into the ring, or hey, I'm going to shield the rep. And you know, he's going to add more things and hopefully get more comfortable, I would think. But, you know, for the moment, I thought the heel work was passable. I mean, nothing to write home about compared to other heels. But, you know, given that this seemed like a very straightforward match, it was fine for what it was. And I'm just glad that Dalton Castle got the win. Because, again, I was not expecting that at all, if I'm being frank.
Well, you don't have to be frank because we can move on from here. Up next, we had our fourth match of the night, Jay Lethal versus Cody. And they can't use the Rhodes name because that's apparently copyright WWE. But they were still saying Cody Rhodes, even if his name wasn't specifically labeled Cody Rhodes. I have a lot more notes for this match than pretty much any other match. So I have one line of notes for every match but two. And the two matches that I have more than one line for are this match and the next match, which is the other six-man tag involving the Kingdom. And we'll get to that. But this is the match I have the most notes for. First note, Brandy is still absolutely terrible.
Hey, you know, I thought what she said was fine. I actually had a little bit of like an audio hiccup, but like, yeah,
that wasn't you, John. That wasn't you. That was Ring of Honor. They were having horrible production problems the entire night. And at this point, knowing that this company has been around for like 16 years now and they still don't have production shit straight, they seriously need to get their shit together. It's ridiculous because this wasn't even the only time a mic wasn't working. This isn't even the only time we had this kind of production issue. There were multiple times tonight where it would be like commentary saying, well, and then we're going to check this out. And then we would cut to a video package, but there would be no audio for the first like 2 or 3 seconds. And then when the audio cut in, it would be like right in the middle of the promo. Like this is happening way too frequently for a company that's been around as long as Ring of Honor has. It's ridiculous.
No, I will completely agree with you there. I'm like, for a show as big as Final Battle, because isn't that like akin to like one of WWE's big 4 shows, Final Battle? Like, isn't this a huge approach?
It's like the WrestleMania of Ring of Honor. It's the last show of the year, and they treat their calendar years as also their wrestling years, unlike WWE, where the wrestling year is basically April to April rather than January to January.
Right. So, you know, even more so then with you kind of elucidating that and clearing that up, there are no reasons for audio issues like this, you know, this late in the game for how many years they've been in business, especially on your biggest show of the calendar year. You know, and I will say like that more than anything, like on this card, really did kind of frustrate me because I'm like, oh, I would have liked to have heard that promo, you know, in full. But, you know, but getting back on Brandy Rhodes, yeah, to me, I'm just thankful she's not announcing more people like outside of her husband. I can forgive it. It's part of the gimmick. It's whatever. But please continue with your notes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I mentioned her mic not working at first, and I was so happy at first thinking, oh, God, we're not going to have to listen to her. But then it came on and I was miserable about it. But came out and these guys for some reason cut like this weird faces now, but they cut a very babyface promo, and it seemed like all they really came out to say was Dusty Rhodes was inspirational. That's pretty much the gist of it.
You know, brother, I talked to you about this in conversation. I don't mean to jump the gun here in the review, but I am going to say, like, this really hampered the match for me because I know we had, like, 2 different perceptions, like, coming upon this match at this point in the show, but I actually felt like the show had built a nice stream of momentum from match to match to match, and Jay Lethal and Cody, they had inherited that momentum, and then I felt like the Addiction came out, and that promo, it wasn't even a bad promo so much as it was unnecessary. Like, I didn't know how it connected to the narrative that Jay Lethal and Cody were building, which, to be fair, in my notes, I even put that there seemed to be lacking, like, a narrative foundation outside of the fact that it was Cody's ROH debut. So, you have the Addiction come out there, and again, it wasn't even a bad promo by Daniels, but it completely unnecessary. The crowd thought it was unnecessary because they were heckling the shit out of Daniels. Shut the fuck up. There was one guy that just kept saying, shut up. shut up. Like he would not quit. I'm like, hey man, you know, you really want him to shut up. You're not quitting it, are you? So they really gave him a hard time. And then them being on commentary, I'm like, well, the commentary job isn't even bad. I actually quite enjoyed them. But I'm like, what the fuck is the point of any of this? Like, what narrative sense does this make? And then I guess that kind of got cleared up in the end, which we'll come back around and, you know, talk about that. But I just wanted to say, yeah, I feel like the addiction or the addiction subtracted more than added to this match for me personally. So.
Yeah, I won't even disagree with you on that point. I did enjoy their commentary. I will say that. I thought that they were pretty good on commentary. They were basically, it was like replacing Steve Corino with two people who make up one Steve Corino. You know, like Kazarian and Daniels together made up for Steve Corino as a whole.
Yeah, I would agree with you there.
So we want to move on, or no? We didn't really even finish talking about this match, did we?
Yeah, we didn't talk about the match yet. So what did you think of the match?
So well, we talked about the addiction, and that was like, and you know what? They're so distracting. They even distracted us from the match talking about it in our review here. But this whole match was very plotting, very like you do a move, then I do a move, then you do a move, then I do a move. It felt very paint by numbers. Jay Lethal had a few moments where he kind of got to show his personality and how good he is. But for the most part, this was just like a clunky former WWE star trying his way in the indies for the first time in over a decade kind of match. That's what it felt like to me. And I wasn't really a big fan of it. I feel like Jay Lethal is one of those guys where it's like, when he's talking, he's good, and when he's in the ring, he's good. But at the same time, to me personally, he's just so forgettable. And it's not even like that he's bad or that he's boring or anything like that. I just, like, when I think of Ring of Honor greats, Jay Lethal doesn't even come to mind for the most part, even though he is one of the greats. It's not because he's not, it's because I just forget.
Right, and see, me, like, how can I articulate this? Like, I can understand where you're coming from, but I want to qualify that I would be in agreement with you with this face run, because if this match was kind of a tone setter for what we can expect from Jay Lethal as a babyface, dear God, turn him back heel immediately, because I loved his heel work. I loved his stuff with House of Truth. I loved his Ric Flair-esque promos, which he's kind of carried over here as a face, but I will agree with you. This is actually one of the few matches on this card, and I believe the next match we're going to be talking about next, I think, we're also in agreement on, at least to a point. That and then the other 6-man match. But yeah, I look at this. I thought this was a very average match, and that was disappointing because I love Cody and I love Jay Lethal. But again, I should qualify that. I really love heel Jay Lethal. So I'm like, oh man, these two getting to work. This is going to be awesome, you know? And it really wasn't. And the addiction didn't help already. That kind of killed the momentum for me to start. And then when you're talking about how they worked the match, it was a well-worked match. I mean, nothing atrocious, but nothing to write home about either. I think you actually said it best. It did feel very paint by numbers. And then the whole spot where, Todd Sinclair's stunned, so I'm going to take this opportunity to low blow Jay Lethal and commence my heel turn, which, to be fair, given that you and I did cover Wrestle Kingdom 11, I should have seen coming because he worked heel that show. I was just kind of like, okay, hits Crossroads, gets the win. So very weird also seeing Jay Lethal lose a match. He's kind of along the lines of Jay Briscoe that way. I don't really expect their shoulders to be down for 3 seconds. But yeah, Cody does get the win. And then he just starts like tearing apart, like, all the stuff around the ROH ring, and in a way kind of disparaging Ring of Honor. I get the point, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of missed the mark for me personally. And then you have the addiction coming out. And I don't know about you, bro, but when the addiction came out to kind of run off Cody, I thought they were waiting for him to fully leave so they could attack Jay Lethal, because I really didn't buy whatever they were doing as baby faces. But then we cut to the next match, and I'm like, okay, I just feel disconnected from everything that's happening in front of me right now is really how I felt about this whole match.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought when the addiction were going down. I didn't even think Cody was going to leave. I thought he was going to stand his ground, and then all three of them were going to start beating on Lethal.
Yeah.
Then when Cody left, I had the same thought as you. When Cody left, I was like, oh, well, he's clearing the ring for the fake out, but they're going to start beating on Lethal now 2-on-1. And it just never happened. And then they're genuinely good guys now, because then they chase Cody up the ramp, and then when Cody comes back out and shoves Steve Corino, they come back out to try and corral Cody. I don't know. I guess the Addiction are just good guys now. Did they ever get like a proper comeuppance? Because I feel like they didn't.
If they did, perhaps we missed it. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, that is another thing. And I don't blame us for that, and I don't blame ROH for that. But again, we don't give this the same kind of coverage we give, say, a Lucha Underground. So I'm sure there were gaps that needed to be filled, but I'm just seeing them do this. And especially, too, you know what else didn't help? And I don't even want to criticize the Hammerstein Ballroom because I actually enjoyed the crowd the whole night, particularly in the Cabana Castle match where they shut down those idiotic CM Punk chants. Then they got points for me on that. But, I mean, they were telling these guys, especially Daniels, shut the fuck up. Shut up, and he kind of smiles about it. I was waiting for him to insult them. He never did. Yeah. So the idea that they stuck to the babyface shtick, knowing that the crowd was so hostile to them, I think that kind of perplexed me too. So really the whole thing was kind of disorienting because, again, I was enjoying the show up to this point, and then I feel like this is the first kind of speed bump they hit. So, yeah, pretty average match for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, that out of the way, we can move on to arguably the best match of the night. Oh, and by the way, I did want to say I really hated this crowd for the most part. Like, there were way too many instances of somebody doing something legitimately dastardly that should have drawn boos that got cheered, and it pissed me off.
Yeah, and you know what? To me, I think I kind of anticipated it, given that New York, aren't they always like a smarkier crowd? So, like, I guess I just went in there kind of.
You know what, though? Even still, I feel like the good smarky crowds boo dastardly things. Like, unless it's like, for example, Kevin Owens powerbombing Roman Reigns, that would get cheered, but not because, oh, we love you, Kevin Owens. No, it would because, no, screw you, Roman Reigns. But Jay Lethal is like this beloved babyface in Ring of Honor now that he's finally turned. And even when he was a heel, he was one of the heels that got cheered a lot. So then he turned face, and now he gets cheered even more. And Cody beats him up, and then as Cody is leaving, you get Cody chants. Like, make up your damn minds, please, because you're not helping anyone by cheering for everybody.
Right. I can see where you're coming from there.
Full Sail-esque crowd, except maybe even smarkier than Full Sail.
That is possible. That is definitely possible. But yeah, I've got nothing else I can really say about this match. This is one I was definitely mad on the whole night. So.
All right. Yeah. So then we get to probably the best match of the night, if not the second best match of the night. We get the Kingdom, Matt Taven's Kingdom, where it's Matt Taven, Vinny Marseglia, and TK Orion versus Kushida, Lio Rush, and Jay White to crown the first ever ROH six-man tag team champions. And this was a great match.
Oh, dude, I love this. I'm torn between either this six-man or the opening six-man is my match of the night because I thoroughly enjoyed both. But you know what? I think this is going to edge out the opener, if only because I fucking love Matt Taven and I love his vision for the Kingdom.
Dude, I even have in my notes that this is the best match of the night so far by a lot. So you say that the Rebellion versus MCMG and Dijak is close. Apparently, when I was watching it, I didn't even think that it was close because I had this as my match of the night by far.
And bro, I can totally understand that because I love the idea that this is the culmination of a tournament. Again, I love, because see, the thing is, and this is where I guess guys like you and I, where we're not, I would best describe us as like casual ROH fans at best. Like, we will watch the product. We're not totally oblivious. We don't stay away from it like it's radioactive like TNA, but we're not like diehards. We don't keep our finger obsessively on the pulse. But why this was such a treat, like, we knew Matt Taven in the Kingdom, and we knew he was a member, but really, like, Mike Bennett and Maria, they were pulling the string, and Adam Cole, when he had more of a heavy hand in it. And I loved in the tournament recap, too, Matt Taven's Kingdom beat the Young Bucks and Adam Cole, and that made me smile, because I'm like, wow, the guy that almost seemed like a lackey as a background singer really has come to the forefront and has taken the reins. And I love these guys. I love the personality in this trio. Matt Taven getting his time to shine is awesome. And also, I have to credit commentary. And commentary, I have to give props to for pretty much the whole night because they enhanced certain matches for me. And this one was no different because they were like, oh, Matt Taven, he has a bad history with Final Battle. They called it the Matt Taven curse. So that kind of added an element like, oh, is he going to get bitched out again at this venue? Or is he finally going to get his? You know, is he finally going to put everything together? And then you have the babyface team of Lio Rush, Kushida, and Jay White. Now, here's the thing. Anybody that's listened to our New Japan coverage knows extensively how we feel about Kushida. Jay White's grown on me. I actually quite liked his work here because I love a guy that can throw a sick suplex. But Lio Rush to me was the star of this team. I freaking loved his energy and his high flying here.
Dude, Lio Rush is like a mini-me for Ricochet. He is a freaking explosive athlete.
Yeah, I loved him here. I thought he brought the energy. It was kind of the missing link for this team because you have Kushida that's more like the technical and the strikes and can be kind of boring after a while. And Jay White, who definitely has come into his own, and his look.
You know what? Jay White made me realize, like, for real, guys, and this is to wrestlers, to aspiring wrestlers, to current wrestlers, to New Japan young boys, young lions, whatever you want to call them, ROH to try and build your career. Go to ROH if you want to prove that you can overcome shit booking and writing, because Jay White has little to no personality, and ROH's writing does no favors for him. And if you are in New Japan as a young lion, hope to hell that your excursion is in CMLL and not Ring of Honor, because if you go to freaking Ring of Honor, that's like the freaking most cases. I feel like at this point, evil is the exception rather than the rule.
Right. It's funny though, because with Jay White, when you think about his look in this match, with the blonde hair and the tights, it really kind of evoked imagery of a very like young, like starting out CM Punk to me. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. And I did
you
like
could tell he was going for it, but the problem there is that he doesn't have like a tenth of the personality that Punk has.
And that's certainly true. I mean, I'm not even going to begin to debate that. That's a losing battle all day, every day. But I did like his spot in the match where he was stacking up all of the Kingdom like cordwood with the suplexes, just kind of sandwiching one after the other. I thought that was probably his kind of like star moment of the match for him personally. But Lio Rush to me was the real MVP of that team. Whereas with the Kingdom, like, yeah, if I had to pick out somebody, obviously it's going to be Taven as like the leader and everything. I thought he did great stuff. But really, I just enjoyed this incarnation of the Kingdom as a whole. I liked how Marcelli is like, I do this thing called whatever the hell I want, so I like that cockiness, that arrogance. And this is just a really fun match. If I had one criticism about the Kingdom, and this is just one of John's weird little nitpicks, their triple finisher, like, I get that it's a variation of a power bomb. I just don't get what the other two guys are supposed to do or what they add to it. Like,
I can tell you, I even have it written down in my notes. It's a power bomb into a double jumping complete shot.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that. It's just
think like zigzag, basically.
Yeah, it's just, to me, bro, I understand that, and thank you for clearing that up, but it's like the way it comes off to me, like I can appreciate what they're going for, but it really doesn't seem like it adds anything. I don't know, maybe the execution just needs some work, I don't know. But all this,
because clearly two guys just putting a hand on the guy getting power bombed, putting a hand on his chest and pushing down does more than pulling him down by the shoulders, right?
Right, I don't know. It just, to me, image-wise, it didn't look the best.
At the end of the day, it's just a flippier version of the Shield triple power bomb. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's what I really thought they were going for, and I can appreciate that. Fair enough. That said,
and you know what? It makes Taven look like a beast too, because he's in the Roman Reigns role of the power bomb. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Elated that these guys got the win, because how often, like, we were even just saying, you and I, about the UK tournament in one of our conversations, like, again, a tournament culminates with a babyface winning, and they have the babyface champ, kind of be the inaugural champ and kind of set the tone. I love that the Kingdom are the champions, one, because they're heels, but even a bigger point than that, really doesn't matter what alignment they are. I like that the undefeated team gets the belts, because commentary noted that this team had not yet been beaten, and now they continue undefeated as the champs, which means whichever team knocks them off looks like a huge fucking deal, because these guys are a well-oiled machine. And I love, too, I even put in my notes, Marcellia got my attention, because I felt like he did one of the more creative ref spots that I've seen. Blatantly, diving on the ref to take him out, and the ref couldn't decide, like, who it was, which team member it was, which I also felt like was clever, because it was an aerial attack, and then they do all this stuff, with the foreign object, just taking everybody out. Yeah, I thought the Kingdom's work here was fucking solid. I loved it.
Yeah, dude, I even really enjoyed the Kingdom's entrance with Taven kind of holding up I guess it was like a flag that he had. Like, holding it up and then like dropping it down as the beat drops in the music. I thought that was cool as hell too.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. This match really, I think, was ROH at its best. And let me tell you, between this match and the opener, I will say if ROH is getting anything right, I am into their 6-man division. I felt like these were two great matches, especially this championship match that really set the tone for it and really sold me on it. Because, yeah, the Kingdom just came in there and they took it, man. So happy for Matt Taven. Broke the curse, apparently. So good for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they even said that Taven, I think it was like 3 years ago in 2013, I think it was, at Final Battle, got just absolutely obliterated by Tommaso Ciampa in a TV title match at Final Battle. And then last year tore his ACL in the opening minutes of the match and continued wrestling with a torn ACL for 10 more minutes.
Exactly. So it's so nice to see him, even like the curse aside, like we know the work that he's put in as a world television champion and is more of like kind of the muscle of the Kingdom before, like, oh, I'll help you, Bennett, or oh, I'll help you, Cole. To know that he's the leading guy now is so freaking cool. So whether you're a diehard ROH fan or an extreme casual, like I would describe you and I, that's great to see. So definitely one of the better moments of Final Battle for sure.
I freaking love Matt Taven too. He's a guy that you and I have always liked, and he's one of the few guys I feel like in ROH who can be an excellent heel or an excellent babyface depending on what you want him to do. Because I've seen flashes of babyface Matt Taven, and I know it's kind of strange to invoke this name knowing that he just passed away, but babyface Matt Taven does remind me of a prime Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you there.
So, all right, well, now that we got to talk about the best match of the night, it's not all downhill from here or anything like that. There are still a couple good matches left on the card. I just feel like this was kind of the peak of the show. Up next was a triple threat. Might as well have been a New Japan Junior Heavyweight title match, but it is the ROH television title match. We've got Dragon Lee, Will Ospreay, and the villain, Marty Scurll, a.k.a. John's favorite wrestler of all time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since you invoked my name, I'll go first on my half of the review. First and foremost, yeah, you're right. I fucking love Marty Scurll here. That should be obvious. First exposure to Dragon Lee, at length, was not disappointed at all. Guy's a freaking beast. But, and I've got to say this here, I think Will Ospreay is just committed to the idea whenever I'm in the ring, I'm going to make all of you look like fucking idiots because I'm going to do everything and literally just take that spotlight because Jesus Christ, he was everywhere and did everything. If 20 was a good year for him, because I believe that was the year he won Super Junior, 2017 I hope is just as kind to him because that's a guy whose stock is rising at an insane level, and I hope he becomes a junior heavyweight champion in New Japan because his offense is breathtaking for one, and he's got this charisma about him with his offense and with like his body language. I could just really get behind him. I mean, yes, I love Scurll to death, and I'm not shortchanging him either, but this match really was Will Ospreay's match, in my opinion. Just insane to me. So what did you think about this match?
I thought this was a really fun match. And yeah, John, I mean, what you said about Ospreay, 100% true. He goes in with the mindset of, I am going to give this entire crowd their money's worth and then some. And if it happens to be at the expense of the guys I'm in the ring with and makes them look bad, so be it. I don't care.
And you know what, though? I like that attitude. I like that because better that than politicking backstage to me. Show your stuff and show everybody how good you are, even if it makes other people look like goddamn shit, because at the end of the day, you're going to get more bookings. And I'll never get tired of seeing Ospreay and Scurll work together. In fact, I wanted to share this quick anecdote. One of my favorite matches between these two was actually in the Rev Pro promotion, and I think the stipulation was the winner gets their own action figure, and it was just an insane back and forth. Scurll constantly teasing the chicken wing, which he also kind of did here. These two are another fight forever pairing that I feel like we'll see for a few years to come. Like they just, to me, have a chemistry that can't be denied. Because aren't they in the in Eurotrash together? Because I know it's Zack Sabre Jr. and Marty Scurll's a part of it. I just didn't know if Ospreay was a member or not.
It is Ospreay. It's the third member.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes all the sense in the world that like they're in this faction of Euro trash and they just know each other so well. And you want to talk about like great heel tactics and heel work? I mean, you contrast it with not Dalton, Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana. I loved Marty Scurll's heel tactics here. If nothing else, what he did at the very tail end, where Ospreay gets the cutter and he just tosses him out and gets
the Oscar.
Yeah, the
I
Oscar.
love that name. I just had to bring it up. I just freaking love the fact that he calls it the Oscar.
Hey, you know, that's fine, bro. I'm glad you said something. But, I mean, Scurll's just like, hey, thanks, bye. Tosses Ospreay out, gets the chicken wing on Dragon Lee, and gets the submission win. Like, that to me, I mean, I know I'm not supposed to like it by definition, but Scurll's too good to be ignored, man. Like, I will always enjoy a Marty Scurll match. I'm still waiting to get a shirt, just, you know, kind of waiting for the right time. You know, summer's right around the corner. That's probably when I'll get one. But, yeah, Marty Scurll, Will Ospreay, these are guys that made 2016 so enjoyable, and it's clear that they haven't been deterred in doing the same thing in 2017. You know, I could say that I'm sad that Scurll's in ROH, and to an extent that's true because I would love to see him in a Lucha Underground or NXT, but he is the world television champion, so I can't be like, oh, they're ruining Marty Scurll, you know, because they're kind of giving him big stuff right now. And Ospreay, I just love seeing him work in New Japan, so I'm happy he's still there. Those are two guys. They are big blips on my radar in 2017. And Dragon Lee, I'm grateful to have had the experience. This was great.
Definitely, yeah. I completely agree with you. Like, Dragon Lee is a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see him versus Hiromu Takahashi in New Japan. But seeing him in this context with Ospreay, extent Scurll. I do love Scurll, but seeing Dragon Lee and Ospreay in there at the same time, just ridiculous. Like, these guys, I would love to see these guys in like a best of Super. I hope we get them in a best of Super Juniors match this year, because even though like Ricochet and Ospreay kind of lit the world on fire last year, I feel like Dragon Lee and Ospreay can light that same flame this year.
I completely agree with you. I mean, you're talking about two aerial beasts. I mean, in Ospreay's case, he calls himself the aerial assassin, and that is an earned title. But yeah, it just amazes me because between that 1 6-man match we saw in New Japan and then this triple threat here, he just doesn't give a fuck. Like he's just gonna go in there like Ospreay gonna Ospreay. You know, I'm gonna steal the show. Any crumbs I have, you guys are welcome to. But I'm going to make this year my year, the same way I tried to make 2016 my year. And you know what? Wherever Ospreay goes, I would like to try my best to follow, because this is a guy, if you haven't invested yet, people, you're missing out. But I still think there's time, because he is getting ready to blow up if he hasn't already. You know, he's just incredible what he does in there. And yeah, I mean, anywhere where he is a babyface, he is going to make a killing. And that's my personal guarantee. He's just too good not to me. So great outing, but Scurll's still champ, the villain, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Cliff Amal in chat brought up a dream match that we could potentially get in PWG: Will Ospreay versus Jack Evans.
Sweet mother of God, yes. All of my money. All of my money for that shit.
Yeah, pretty much. So, as you mentioned, Marty Scurll does pick up the win. Ospreay taps out to the crossface. Or no. Dragon Lee taps out to the crossface chicken wing. But again, this was after Ospreay hit Dragon Lee with the Os Cutter, the ring, and locks in crossface. So yeah, great heel tactic for the win. I thought Scurll had great heel tactics throughout, and yet the crowd was still chanting for him after he left. I hate that.
Yeah, you know, again, smarkier crowds, man.
I just feel like my whole thing is I can understand cheering for a heel if he's going against a shit babyface like Roman Reigns, but when you're going against babyfaces the caliber of Dragon Lee and Will Ospreay and you still cheer for the heel, you are effed in the head, people.
I mean, I can't disagree, brother. But, you know, Hammerstein Ballroom was just going to cheer for who they wanted to cheer for. But I thought Ospreay deserved more support. He gave everything to those fucking people. So can't complain there.
Up next was the fourth and final dud, in my opinion, of the night. The Briscoes versus the Young Bucks. I am really just... It might just be that I'm just that jaded with the Briscoes at this point. I love them talking, though. They're like... I feel like they are like 15 years past when they should have been, because if they would have been around in the 90s and specifically in the mid to late 90s during the Attitude Era. And in ECW, they would have been a legendary tag team by now. But at this point, the only place that they're considered legendary is in Ring of Honor, and that's it.
I think, you know, nothing about what you just said to me is up for debate, at least as far as I'm concerned. I will say this, though. I mean, I enjoyed the match, and this is actually one of the matches where I felt like the crowd did help because it was like, too sweet, man up, too sweet, man up, you know, and they really had that divide going because these are two very established tag teams, although I'd say the Young Bucks are more established because they made their names, you know, well outside of Ring of Honor. You know, PWG and New Japan and all those places even had that TNA stint. And honestly, as far as the Briscoes go, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth because I'd rather those two be tagging together, even though I do like Mark far more than I do Jay. Better Jay be in the tag team division than competing for the ROH world title where he can just be so fucking OP. But speaking of OP, I feel like Jay Briscoe wasn't even the OP one here. It was Matt freaking Jackson, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, on the whole, I enjoyed this match. It's two teams that have worked together, you know, so many times. You know that they're going to do certain spots. You know they're going to have a certain way with working with each other. So I just kind of turned my brain off. I enjoyed it. You know, there were at least two great false finishes that did catch me. But I did feel like at times kind of teetering into what I don't like about ROH, where they have like this fetish for near falls. But on the whole, I mean, I enjoyed it. But you just felt like it was a dud. I mean, did you just feel like you want the Young Bucks to work with other people, or is it really just a Briscoe thing, like you said? Or, I mean,
it really is kind of a combination of the two. I love the Young Bucks, but I hate that the Young Bucks are still baby faces in ROH. Like, these guys are infinitely better when they're allowed to be cocky, arrogant, obnoxious heels. And in ROH, they feel really neutered because they can't do all of the funny, entertaining, interesting things that they're allowed to do as heels everywhere else.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. You know, it'd be nice if their alignment was consistent with like, okay, we're heels here. Let's bring our heel brand here, you know, and elsewhere. I will say I like the false finishes with the J Drower and the Froggy Bow combo. Did not expect Matt Jackson to kick out. Matt Jackson's one tough motherfucker. I'll tell you, because he kicked out of that, and he kicked out a Doomsday Device that the Briscoes did. I like the Young Bucks variation of the Doomsday Device with the super kick. And speaking of super kicks, I got to say, I love that finish with the super kick party. I thought that was great. You know, it makes sense because the super kicks have...
Dude, I love Carino's call of the super kick party.
Yeah, where his voice is super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, super, and just like it just got progressively faster. Yeah,
super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick. It was great. I love that, man. That was great, dude. And the thing is, like, even Carino, I felt like wasn't as good on this show as I'm used to him being. I don't know what the problem was. Maybe I just kind of, you know, outgrew Steve Carino as a commentator or something. But I feel like he isn't as good now as he was a year or two ago. It's crazy.
And see, to me, like, yeah, commentary was fine. Like I said, even in some matches, they enhanced the experience for me. But Carino did have one weird moment. Like, after Cody shoved him and he returned to the booth, Carino's like, I should have known. He told me he was coming and it was Cody. I'm like, are you furthering a storyline right now? Like, what the fuck's going on with you, Carino? Like,
ROH weird, like, has this weird fascination with using Carino in storylines. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, I don't know how that's going to work because I've been hearing that, like, Carino, like, he's finished up. Like, he's on his way out if he hasn't left already.
I think he's going to NXT to be a coach.
Which, I mean, that should be interesting. So, I mean, hey, looks like you got over him at the right time because he's kind of wrapping it up anyway.
Right? Yeah, like, what a great show to be, like, the last show he's ever going to be commentary for ROH for.
Yeah, and, you know, to punctuate it with the super kick party, which, as I was saying earlier, I feel like it makes a lot of sense for the Young Bucks to have that as a finisher because the super kick has been one of their calling cards for, I'd say, the last couple of years, if not longer. Like, I've always associated the Young Bucks with the super kick. So to me, this makes logical sense. And I will never not smile when I see the Briscoes lose. Fuck those guys, particularly Jay Briscoe again. Right. But yeah, great for the Young Bucks. We already know that they lost their IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles at Wrestle Kingdom, which I'm going to be bringing up Wrestle Kingdom again in a few moments. But yeah, still on its own merits, fun tag team match, can't really complain. And the Briscoes lost, so fuck yeah, too sweet.
Yeah, all right. So, and I will, you know what? I'm laughing, but I sign on to what you said too. Like, anytime we get to see a match where the Briscoes actually lose, it's a good day.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
So, um, we had our main event up next: Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. The first and only match of the show with some blood in it, and yet again, I get to complain about the fans. Kyle O'Reilly gets busted open in this match, and Adam Cole does like, kind of like stumbles around and makes fun of Kyle O'Reilly because there's a spot where like O'Reilly is losing blood. He's got like the wobbly legs, and Cole goes to Irish whip him from one corner to the other, and O'Reilly just collapses in the middle of the ring, doesn't even reach the opposite corner, and then Cole kind of does like the wobbly knee thing to make fun of O'Reilly and taunts him. And then the crowd, because this is relevant, right, guys, starts chanting "fuck PG." Get over yourselves. Seriously. This is pathetic at this point.
For me, as far as the match goes, I even put in my notes, it's kind of difficult for me to talk about this match. And I say that because we already know what happens with the whole ROH World title because of Wrestle Kingdom 11. And we know that Kyle O'Reilly drops it back to Cole, which kind of renders this like emotional catharsis for O'Reilly. You know, finally getting that big win is kind of a moot point, at least in my opinion. But that said, if we were to examine this match in a vacuum, I thought it was a great outing for these two and a logical conclusion to their feud. I do love that Kyle O'Reilly got busted open. I love that he even requested it be no DQ because he said, I can't trust myself and I can't trust Adam Cole. What he said before that in the video package where it's like, how every great artist leaves their mark on a painting, I left my mark on you, Cole. And I'm telling you, O'Reilly, when he speaks, and I don't know if it's just like a pre-tape thing. I don't know how he would be with a live mic, but he's got a personality there. And if he's going to NXT, the one thing I can hope for him when he goes there is that they're able to tap into that personality and make it more of a consistent thing. Because I think when he's calm and he's just able to speak at his own pace and not worry about a live atmosphere, he's really good. Like, I can actually get into what he's saying. I just don't know how he is live. And I think that's going to be something we may be exposed to in the near future. And if it is a problem, I hope they can work it out. Because there is a talk to them.
Remember, after Adam Cole screwed him out of the ROH World title in his match with Lethal, there was a video up on ROH's social media, and O'Reilly was like screaming at Cole, and he cut a really, really good impromptu promo. And granted, it wasn't like live in front of a crowd, but it was definitely off the cuff. So I think that is kind of what I personally am kind of expecting from him, kind of context.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I hope they don't overly script him and he is more off the cuff, because I'm telling you, when he does, because I saw the promo you're referencing, and that was the first instance I'm like, man, Kyle O'Reilly can talk. Like, he seemed like so angry and he conveyed that emotion so well to me. There is a personality there, which to me is a huge relief, and I don't mean to generalize or stereotype, I'm just speaking from experience. I feel like when you've got people that are really great grapplers in ring, more often than not, it's because they're lacking in some other department. So to know that O'Reilly does have a personality there, along with his great in-ring work, that's somebody that I think has a lot of mileage to give a place like NXT. So I do wish him the best. It's just weird talking about this match, knowing what we know. But yeah, I mean, it was personal. It was intense. I loved Cole's heel work here, where he got in O'Reilly's face at one point and he's like, "You're not in my league, Kyle. You've never been in my..." And then Kyle O'Reilly spits in his face. Cole tries super kicking him, but O'Reilly stops it. I thought the weapon use was nice. The one guillotine, I'm going to DDT you through this table spot. That was great. And then, I mean, the thumbtacks, good Lord. I loved how they were used because O'Reilly actually went in them first, even though the heel introduced them, which you rarely see that. Normally the heel just eats them and that's it. But O'Reilly actually did taste it. And then he willingly tasted it because he actually got Adam Cole and an armbar and he laid in those tacks. So I thought it made him look like a fucking boss. Like, I'm so willing and so committed to hurting you, I'll put my body through unimaginable pain. So I thought that was a great moment for O'Reilly. So, yeah, I mean, a great back and forth match. It's just I have to treat it more like it's in a vacuum because knowing what I know, it seems like it kind of gets deflated a little bit in hindsight, which is kind of a shame because I felt like this is a great blow-off.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. In an attempt to kind of view it in a vacuum, I feel like this was a great blow off. Now, the idea that O'Reilly is coming to NXT has me even more excited because this match was so good and O'Reilly showed so much babyface fire in this. And dude, last time that we had a babyface moment that could outshine O'Reilly locking the armbar in while laying in the thumbtacks despite the pain was the freaking Prince Puma, beating up all three members of the Disciples of Death and Mill and hitting the 630 all in one segment right before their Ultima Lucha match. And that was in Lucha Underground Season 1.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, I know jokingly all right on O'Reilly and whatnot, but no, he does have the makings of a really great babyface, and I love that moment because his hatred of Cole superseded his personal welfare, and he made that choice. And I feel like it's such a great visual, and it's only bolstered when you actually have an intimate knowledge of their narrative, which in this case you and I do. Because even though, again, we're not compulsive with ROH, like we know the history between these guys. We reviewed or live reacted, I should say, to the show where Colt betrayed O'Reilly and the feud really got up and running. So, yeah, we've been there for really all the major points. So to see it culminate, well, or so we thought at the time, was really cool. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a great moment for Kyle O'Reilly. It was about 2 years too late, but given that he finally got this catharsis, I think it was a great moment. Losing the title right back to Adam Cole at Wrestle Kingdom 11, they didn't have a choice. Their backs were against the wall. They had to do something. The match was already booked. They weren't going to change the match at the last minute when New Japan was already using it to advertise their show. So they just pulled the trigger, and Adam Cole is the first ever 3-time Ring of Honor champion. And I believe I have no clue who's going to be his first challenger now that O'Reilly's out of the company.
I actually think Bobby Fish is going to be his first challenger from something I saw somewhere. So we go from one Red Dragon member to the other.
That's just typical Ring of Honor because that sounds incredibly lame.
Yeah, I really can't get behind that. Like, I know that triple threat that we reviewed earlier, Dragon Lee and Marty Scurll and Will Ospreay, it was supposed to have Bobby Fish in it. Unfortunately, his mother passed away, which, of course, I'm sorry about, and I feel sorry for him.
I'm not trying to say that, he's that,
No, I mean, I get that. I bring that up because I know, like, somebody was like, oh, it's supposed to be a Fatal 4, and to me, and commentary even brought it up.
I like Bobby Fish as a person. I'm bored with Bobby Fish as a performer.
And I'm the same way, because I was even thinking to myself, like, I'm so sorry that happened to him, and as a person, I hope he's okay. But to me, I feel like he wouldn't have added anything to that match. And if anything, like, I'm glad it was just those three guys. Same way with Adam Cole's world title reign. Like, now that he's really beginning his third run, I could think of so many other people, like a babyface Jay Lethal, to start with. Or, Dalton Castle. Maybe get him, like, because I heard that him cashing in, him and Colt Cabana's tag title shot, he pinned Adam Cole in whatever that match was to eliminate Adam Cole from it. So Dalton Castle has actually pinned Adam Cole. So that's another one. If you want to get a heel and a face in there, maybe Dalton Castle and Silas Young, because he's starting to move up in the ranks. Like, so many better choices to me than Bobby Fish. So I was kind of mad about that. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Cole's third reign is going to be like, though.
So, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where this match that we're talking about now between him and O'Reilly I feel like it kind of let a lot of the air out of Adam Cole's heat. And, it's not like it ruined him forever, but I do feel like he's not nearly as much of like this, like, final boss heel going into this match.
Right. And I just want to point out in chat, Jarveris has enlightened us. The first defense is going to be Bobby Fish. Second, Christopher Daniels. No idea where that came from. But the third will be, though, against Dalton Castle at Supercard of Honor. So, you know what? He pinned Adam Cole before, like I mentioned, in that one match that led to the whole split between him and Colt Cabana. So I'm actually glad to see Dalton Castle getting an ROH World title match. That should be interesting. So...
Christ. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get
ROH
those.
sure does know how to line up boring ass matches. God.
I mean, yeah, again, I don't get Fish or Daniels. I'm just happy to see Dalton Castle getting some shine. So,
Yeah, I mean, that's maybe, you know, realistically, Dalton Castle should have been a champion of some kind by now. The fact that he hasn't is further proof that ROH is constantly behind the eight ball.
right.
But yeah, given I mean, why even bother waiting at this point? If you're gonna, you didn't necessarily want Adam Cole to be your champion at this stage in the first place. Why would you drag it out now? Just give the title to Castle. He is literally the most over babyface in the company, and I don't think that there's anyone even close in second place.
Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly there. Give Castle his run, see what he can do. And I love Adam Cole to death, but I mean, there's speculation about him.
Even tonight, Dalton Castle had entrance of the night. Imagine if it would have been for the main event rather than like the fourth match on the card.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Like I said in my notes, Dalton Castle is a guy, he understands his character inside and out. I think his execution, both of the character and the in-ring product, is on point. He's a guy that, like, he just keeps getting better. And I think at a point you got to start asking yourself, well, when is he going to be fighting, in prime time? When is he going to be having the big matches? And Jarveris, again, he's just a wealth of ROH knowledge. Said Daniels apparently won a tournament called Decade of Excellence. That's how Daniels got his title shot.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Javaris was the one who requested we do this review, so it makes all the sense in the world that he would have the ROH knowledge, and it makes me even happier that he's in the chat to give us this information because, yeah, we're glad to have you around, brother, and we appreciate the donation, and we hope you're enjoying the review.
Absolutely. And thank you for clearing up about the Daniels situation. But even still, like, I've never been big on Christopher Daniels. I felt like the ship sailed on him being a main eventer, when TNA never really put the strap on him. And I just kind of lost interest ever since then. Dalton Castle, though, that does pique my interest because I will say the closing line in my notes, even though I know we haven't gotten to the point of summarizing Final Battle, was that this show, if it did anything, it made me more interested in the product's talents in the new year, particularly Silas Young, Dalton Castle, Donovan Dijak, and just all three members of both the Rebellion and Matt Taven's Kingdom, especially the Kingdom. Those guys are freaking awesome. So, yeah, to see Dalton Castle already doing this, I mean, puts a smile on my face for sure.
I mean, hell, speaking of the Kingdom, give Castle the title and make his first big program be with Matt Taven.
Yeah, I mean, he's the leader of the new kingdom. I don't know how long their six-man tag team championship run is going to last, but the moment they drop those, yeah, get Taven at that main event level. It'd be such a great story, too, given that he was kind of the underling, when Mike Bennett and whenever he associated with Cole, like, Cole was always first in command. Give Matt Taven, that spot at primetime, man. I would not be, mad about that at all. I think Matt Taven's got all the tools to do it. You could make a very interesting run for Adam Cole. You have the roster to do it. You just got to have the imagination. And the first two title reigns first two title defenses don't really give me much confidence to that fact. But the idea that they're giving the nod to Castle, jury's out. We'll see. We'll see if they can keep that kind of momentum up.
Hell yeah. I think, honestly, Castle would be... I've actually been thinking about this too. We got to make a new 5 Fave 5s video because the last one was just me, and I want us to get one with both of us on the record.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
We can do a 5 Fave 5s for the WWE. We don't even have to include indies at this point. I mean, we could, but we don't have to because all of the indie guys that we love are in one of the companies that we would be covering. It would be WWE, Ring of Honor, NXT, New Japan, Lucha Underground. Boom, 5 Fave 5s right there.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, I would not be opposed to that at all. So,
all right. Well, we'll look into doing that after the Royal Rumble when our schedule clears up a little bit because we've got some crazy shit coming up with all these preview and predictions we got to do this coming week, So yeah, we'll work on that, and I think that about ends it for this review. What do you think, John?
Yeah, on the whole, very fun show. I even told you in conversation my final score would be an 8.5 out of 10. I had a great time with it. The only real down point for me was Lethal versus Cody. I felt like the addiction didn't do any favors, but that was the only low point to me. I had a lot of fun with this show, and I'm very excited for the futures of Dijak, Castle, Young, and others. So good outing for ROH here. I give it a thumbs up.
And I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. How's that?
Hey, fair enough, man. Fair enough. I totally understand where you're coming from. So,
As well. Hope you all enjoyed the review here. We've got some plugs to do. John, you want me to take it or do you want to?
you got the plugs, brother. You're far more succinct than I am.
All right, I need to like write up like a quick script so I don't get off track during these. But yeah, guys, the easiest way to contact either one of us to get in touch with us is to go to Twitter. John is at John_TwitWoW. That's JOHN_TwitWoW. I am at Apond404. That's at APOND404. I know it's a freaking complicated Twitter username, but I came up with it when I was in college like 7 years ago. 8 years ago. Shit, I'm old. God damn it. Anyway, that's the easiest way to get in touch with us. But if you want to go another route, if you don't like Twitter, if you don't have a Twitter, you probably have a Facebook. So if you just want to go to facebook.com/TwitWoW, you can like that page, or you can send that account a message, and John and I will both see your message because we're both administrators on the TwitWoW Facebook page. Have a subreddit. Just go to twitwow.reddit.com, or if you like doing it the longer way, you can do reddit.com/r/twitwow. Either way, we share every single one of the videos that we upload to the subreddit and Twitter and Facebook. So all three of those options are great ways to see what videos we upload. Or if you just want to go straight to the source, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you're watching this video most likely. So if you just click the subscribe button, and then if you really want to know when we upload a video or when we go live, click on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button and check yes for receive all notifications from this channel. Deal now, YouTube is making people double subscribe. If you just subscribe, you might not know when we upload videos, but if you subscribe and give us the old bell treatment, that's how you know you're doing it right. If you want different ways that you can support us fiscally, financially, we have a few options, two primary options. The first one being t-shirts. You can go to teespring.com/stores/TwitWoW, and we have a whole bunch of different t-shirts going on there. The most recent one is the hashtag Scum Squad t-shirt. John, what do you have to say about that?
Oh, I have to say, if you haven't gotten a t-shirt and any Scum Squad merch, I mean, come on, guys. We need to show the Bullet Club that we're the dominant faction around here. I'm not going to get bitched out by Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. Fuck that. But yeah, guys, I mean, I love the design of the Scum Squad shirts that Ashton made. The mug, which I'm telling you, down the road, I am going to get that, probably again next month for my birthday. Going to treat myself to drinking those babyface tears the right way. Also the sticker, that's the best thing you can buy if you really want to financially support us. A lot of great Scum Squad merch. I mean, look, you all know that baby faces deserve to be mocked and laughed at and bullied. We've done it together this whole time. I don't know why that has to change. So get your Scum Squad merch. Wear the fact that you are a heel with pride. That's what I have to say about that.
We have 6 other shirts other than the hashtag Scum Squad shirt, 2 of which are the I'm a TwitWoW guy and I'm a TwitWoW girl t-shirts. So if you show and you want to support us in the simplest way possible, those are probably the easiest options. They aren't, they don't imply that you're a scumbag. They don't have any kind of real message to them. It's just straight up, I support TwitWoW. I'm a TwitWoW guy. Or if you're a female, I'm a TwitWoW girl. If you want, we have 2 Kevin Owens shirts. John kind of has a running Kevin Owens catchphrase, which is
because he's a father, damn it.
Both of those t-shirts have that catchphrase on it. The front says because he's a father, the back says damn it. They are both based on Kevin Owens t-shirt design. So if you like Kevin Owens, but you want more of a customized t-shirt than just one that you can buy generic from WWEshop.com, and you want to support at the same time, buy one of those. The other 2 t-shirts we have a simple It's Irrelevant t-shirt because Roman Reigns heel quotes are the best. And finally, the TwitWoW official tee, which has welcome to TwitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today, on the front of it. I know for a fact at least 3 or 4 people own that shirt. 2 executive producers of Lucha Underground own that shirt, and you know you want that shirt too. So make sure to check out teespring.com/stores/TwitWoW for all your TwitWoW t-shirt needs. And the other option, if you want to support us financially, Patreon. You can donate money for no real reason, just to support the show. Just be like, hey, I like what you guys do, and we appreciate it, and we would appreciate that as well. That would be awesome. But we actually are offering services for your money. We're not just saying pay us money for no reason. We're actually saying, hey, if you guys want us to review or live react to a show of your choice, money, tell us what show you want us to talk about, and we will do it for you, just like what we're doing right now with Ring of Honor Final Battle 2016. We never would have even watched this show if it wasn't for the donation, the very generous donation from Javaris Carter that we got to review it. We appreciate that, Javaris. We've already had a few donations from another good friend of the podcast, Cliff Amal. He's also in chat. And I think we've had one other donation from John Madigan, a.k.a. Tech Guru. We appreciate all the donations we've had so far for TwitWoW Request Live, and we hope that they continue to come in. We hope that you guys continue to want us to produce more content than we already have lined up. And hey, speaking of which, content that we have lined up, Q&A next Friday. We don't have very many questions this month. It's been a very slow month for Q&A compared to usual. Last month was an all-time record. I believe we had over 70 questions. I want to say 73 last month. This month, I don't think we're even going to get to 30 unless you guys are just holding out on us until the last minute, or if you've just been sending all your questions to John and not letting me know about it. Q&A next Friday, and make sure to get your questions in for that. But also, we have so much content lined up for this coming week. It's unbelievable. Tuesday, Royal Rumble preview and predictions. As soon as SmackDown goes off the air, we're going to have to miss Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because of this, but we wanted to do it early because it's going to be a little bit of longer preview and predictions, because as we do every year, we have a few little games that we like to play with Royal Rumble, and we wanted to make sure that we did it as early as possible after Raw and SmackDown for the week are both over. So next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And we also wanted to make sure that if some of our more hardcore UK fans wanted to watch that live, that you would be able to. So Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Sadly, that is 3 o'clock in the morning in the UK, but we know that we have some hardcore UK fans that'll stay up till 4 or 4:30 in the morning in order to watch that. Now, Wednesday, NXT review. I have no Lucha Underground to talk about, but I'm trying to push that as far into the back of my head as possible. Thursday, over San Antonio preview and predictions. Friday, Q&A. Saturday, NXT TakeOver San Antonio live reactions. And Sunday, live reactions to the Royal Rumble. And then Monday and Tuesday, first Raw and SmackDown TwitWows since August. I really am kind of excited, because if we would have been reviewing Raws and SmackDowns between last August and that episode, there would have been a lot of fun rants that you would have gotten out of both of us, especially on Raw. Looking forward to SmackDown reviews again. So, guys, we have so much coming up over the course of the next 10, 11, 12 days. I'm losing track of time. It doesn't matter. Hopefully you all enjoyed this review of Ring of Honor's Final Battle 2016, and we will see you all on Tuesday for our Royal Rumble preview and predictions. Stay tuned.